Welcome to Pisico Mao and to my review of the Neewer 37mm adjustable 2-400 ND filter plus phone clip made in China. Now usually what I would do with a review is I would take the product out, I would review it extensively, test it, use it, put it through its paces for a good couple of weeks, and then I would bring you my final review. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you along on my journey of using the product, experiencing it for the first time, because I've never had one of these before. I've had one for my DSLR, never for a phone. So let's take it out, see what's what, see what I can make it do, see if it's any good. So before we start, let's do a little unboxing. This is my first official unboxing. The first time I've taken anything out of a box on camera. So it's a box within a box, and you get this clip, and you also get the filter itself, which fits right onto the clip, obviously. But it's also got this 37mm thread. So if you have a smartphone lens, you can attach this to one of those as well. And you can see it's a variable ND filter. You can twist it to decide the level of light stoppiness, light blockageness. So of course one of the main reasons to get an ND filter is to stop light, so you can do some cool long exposures. That is why I've come to the River Mersey. Now the river isn't flowing as fast as I would have expected it to. It's actually a lot lower than I was expecting. But the water is still moving, so let's set this thing up and see what's what. So we've got the filter on. We're in RAW Plus, by the way, right now. So you can see here as I decrease the shutter speed, RAW Plus is like, Dave, you're clipping badly, dude. So then we come to the filter, and we can turn it. This is the first time I've used it, by the way. You can see here what effect that has. Look at the water now. So I'm going to take a picture and see what happens. This is a really bad day to test this thing out, because all this this hazy, this stuff over here, that's not the lens doing this, it's not the filter, it's actually how it looks today. So this is probably not the best situation you're going to want to use this thing in. So usually when you watch a video of mine and I go out and I produce you know, what you might think is quite a decent picture, there's usually about 10 of them before that with that look like this, before I've actually got to that stage where the picture is usable. So if you ever find yourself you know, taking pictures that you're not too happy with, that aren't so good, then it happens to all of us, don't worry. So I'm going to take a few more shots and then I'm just going to go somewhere else, because this isn't working for me today. Never mind, that's photography. Oh. As he limps off camera. So that was an absolute disaster. I got soaked, the Ronin S got absolutely drenched. My pride took a beating because I took a bad photo in front of you all, but it's fine. I'll be okay, because I did kind of make up for it with that second photo I took. That one wasn't bad. Got the reflection going on, got the long exposure, and the wall, the bit that's supposed to be sharp, is sharp. So good job on that one filter. So I'm going to wait for the weather to clear up before I go out and test it some more. I'm going to do some more long exposure tests, both with the clip and with this apexel lens. I'm going to do some video tests. Now for me that could be a few hours, it could be a few days, but for you it's going to happen right now. Now this is more like it. Nice blue skies, no rain, none of my equipment getting absolutely soaked. So let's crack on with the review, and I'll do more long exposures in a second, but first I want to focus on video, because another great use for filters like these is to get natural looking motion when you're shooting video. So take me for example, 99% of the footage that you see on my channel that was filmed with a mobile phone was filmed at 24 frames per second, and the way I get natural and realistic looking motion at 24 frames per second is using a shutter speed that's double the frame rate. So I'm using a 48th of a second shutter speed to get realistic motion at 24 frames per second. But on a day like today with nice blue skies and when the sun's out, you can't can't always achieve the shutter speed that you want to get that natural looking motion. So you have to crank the shutter speed and then motion can start to look unnatural. And that's where a filter like this comes in, because I can cut out as much light as I need to get the shutter speed that I want. Plus, with the whole kit being, let's be honest, cheap, it means it's also very light. So I can use it on my gimbal without a counterweight. But something else to bear in mind with a cheap filter like this is it can often leave an unwanted and quite unflattering color cast on your footage. So like I said, I haven't tested this out yet. I'm going to go film with it right now and see what's what. So situations like this, I suspect this is why most people are going to want to buy a filter like this to do real long exposures with their phones. So let's turn over to the phone and this is a normal exposure for this photo. Now if we want a long exposure, we have to increase the shutter speed. Look what happens when you do that. The ISO, put it as low as you can. Picture is way overexposed. So what we do, put the filter on and watch what happens. And there's your real long exposure. So I just literally finished filming that section with the waterfall and then this happens. So much for it being a nice day with blue skies. Never mind about the rain, I still got the footage and the photos that I wanted, and I actually went out for a third time to cement my opinion of the Neewer 37mm 2-400 variable ND filter. So I like it a lot. It behaves exactly as you'd expect a variable ND filter to behave. Yes, there's vignetting, yes, there's a loss in sharpness, and yes, some weird polarization effects can occur, but this is a variable ND filter. It's what they do. In this screen recording, you can see some quite heavy vignetting, but just keep in mind that I was shooting almost directly into the sun and the filter was wet at this point, which can't have helped. And for £16, don't forget how cheap this thing is. For £16, this is what I was able to create with it, and it didn't give me a headache while doing so. There was no light leakage from the clip. That was really strong and sturdy, and it didn't slip even on my notoriously slippery iPhone XR. The only thing I wouldn't do again is use it with this Apexel 2x telephoto, because when these two things combine, you do get considerable vignetting and softness, especially in the corners. Softness and vignetting are also noticeable when shooting video, but again, this depends on how you set the lens and the situation that you're shooting in. And in fairness, I actually like this slightly softer look because it does tone down that overly sharpened iPhone look. So all in all, it is a great filter. Neewer, I like your products. I use a lot of your products. You are cheap, but you don't produce junk, and I will happily add this filter to my camera bag. And that is my review of the Neewer 37mm 2-400 variable ND filter. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay curious, and Aussie Buna.
pecorino.
No, just Aussie Buna.
No more pecorino.
No, I changed it. I changed from pecorino to Aussie Buna.
Ozzy Osbourne.
And then I will say Nevadem Nediminatza.
Oh. Noapte bună.
Noapte bună.